Senators want former current CSs and PSs investigated for occasioning possible loss of funds into the medical equipment scheme. 63 billion shillings, they believe, cannot be accounted for. Huge amount. Again, we're back here again. What systems do you think need to be put in place, Honorable Kira? Because they say some facilities in the different counties, facility heads are not fully aware of the exact equipment they were to benefit from. Some providers are suspected to have supplied incomplete sets of equipment. So
it happened more than 40 years ago, or even 60, about 50 years ago, with the Nzoia Sugar Company, where some equipment were dumped. Some of it you would find spare parts for tractors, some spare parts for lorries, some have plows and so forth. And that debt has remained to the extent that Nzoia has not been performing well because of the debt that it has been carried over. It was 16 billion when I left the ministry. Yeah. I don't know how much it is now. It is the same thing because devolution essentially is supposed to be communication between the central government and the devolved units. And therefore the devolved unit should have informed what kind of equipment was required for their purposes. And for any equipment, whether it is a simple camera like this one, you need to ask yourself, as you import this camera, who is going to operate? Have you trained the people so that they have the requisite skills for them to operate these cameras? And if the answer is no, what are you doing? Why should you import the camera before you train the person? What used to happen in the past is that you take them to the country of origin, they get trained, then they come back, and they now multiply by being trained, by being trainers of other people. Secondly, what we expect, it is now becoming dangerous to work for government. You realized Joe Sang is resigning almost 3 months before the time he's supposed to leave office. What are we doing to such professionals? We are destroying people. The other day it was the MD of cereals, I think Mr. Bate, I can't remember his name, and many other people who are running away from government, which means there is something so hot that they have just been holding it, but now it's too hot for them to keep on holding. How do you really, if you are to give me a contract, even up to January 5th, I will still be in office up to January 4th. So that on 5th I leave. Now, somebody foregoing 4 months, it means there is something that is not right. Finally, on this particular issue, we want also the multi-agency, whether it is DCI, DPP, and even the Anti-Corruption Commission, to be giving us a catalogue of cases, that we had so many cases, these ones have been done like this, almost on regular basis, so that we know what is happening. Otherwise, when they close shop, and we are told the case is next year, like the one of Ngrita and others. The one of NYS 1, we are almost forgetting her name until it comes up again, and those cases are still on. So it is unfortunate that we are glossing over issues, and yet it is affecting huge sums of money. The way Mheshimiwa said, 400 billion is lost every year, and yet we are looking for more taxes instead of sealing the loopholes and ensuring that money works for us.
Right. Yeah. You wanted to say something?
I think I would just say, you know, I know we have had such cases of professionals walking away, but I am not worried about destroying the professionals. Personally, I'm worried about destroying the institutions. I mean, we have seen people walk away. By the time you get out there, in fact, I'm worried when someone says they will walk away, because I expect in a few short months, something will give in that organization. I mean, we have seen it in sugar industry. When someone just walks out, we have seen Uchumi, you have seen Kenya Airways. I mean, they walk out. By the time it's 2-3 months down the line, it crumbles. And I think that is where the personal responsibility must come in. I mean, if you're a professional and you feel something should be done and should be said, please say it. Whether in confidence, we have witness protection, whatever it is, so that we dig it out and get the root problem of these issues. Because if you say we will fear not renewing contracts, then I'll go to a position, I'll be given 1 term, and I'll serve like it's my last. What does that mean? It means I'll have to exploit every possible way to accumulate as much so that when I get out, I will survive. That is exactly what is happening. Then I will walk away and look like the good one that I don't want to renew my... But why? That is a question. Because as a productive professional, you should, like you say, stay up to the last day. When you don't, then we are worried. Questions will be raised. And I hope that... the other issue we have learned from NYS and from other scandals, even getting the CS out did not help us. We have done that. So let us now look at the personal responsibility and have enough evidence, because that is where we lose it. We pronounce it here that so-and-so has been mentioned, but when you go to the investigation, it has holes, it has been poked holes, and someone can easily go to court and win. So we must have watertight cases, and that is the DPP, to be able to stand trial and be able to secure conviction. Because the judiciary has also committed that they will fast track the cases, because the other problem we've had is that they take too long.
Yes, the backlogs,
if we send that message out, because I'll tell you, even when these corruption cases started and the president was at the forefront, there was renewed hope in the country. The DPP was new, there was new blood, the DCI was no-nonsense, and we actually expected that that would be sustained. But the more now it takes longer and the cases are pushed next year, then that confidence is declining. So I really hope that this can be, the DPP must really work very hard. In fact, if there is one institution, even as Parliament, that we need to strengthen in terms of even allocation of funds and all, is to the DPP, so that they're able to get the best and be able to retain them, and be able to do proper investigations even before the names come out in the public.
And see a lot more prosecutions and people behind bars. I think that would be satisfying to many Kenyans with all of these corruption scandals.
And also the issue of not holding office. I think the DPP has mentioned, because when you have been mentioned for murder, and you still go and you're in a public office, what does that mean? I mean, there's nothing you can do to anyone, and that is what Kenyans read. We must get to a point where if you are mentioned and actually there's a case going on, especially for criminal offenses, for corruption cases, I mean, there must be something that gives in public service, that in accordance to Chapter 6, you can be able to step aside and, I mean, get relieved of your duties to some point. That way we can send the right message. Otherwise, if you go back to your office and continue in your swinging chair, nothing happens.
Absolutely. Perception is everything, especially in our society.
Even in our traditional society, and I belong to the, well, to the old.
The old school.
The old school. Even in our traditional society, if you went raiding and you came back, elders would involve you in some kind of consultation, and they will ask you, because our raiding was just to appropriate wealth. It was not to kill people or massacre people. They will ask, are you all? Then the answer, if it is yes, it's okay. Did you have any casualties on the other side? If the answer is yes, then they ask who was involved. So that you are taken aside, you are cleansed, then you come back to society after going through certain rituals. Therefore, you cannot be in office when you still got a lot of blemish on you. And this should impact on the formal society or formal institutions that we have today. We are not asking for too much. Step aside, we cleanse you. And if cleansing is beyond reproach, then you come back to society. But if you are beyond redemption, then you are excluded, because they say you have red hands.